Good morning and welcome to your second online art lesson. Firstly, just wanted to say thank you to all of you who sent pictures of your work in. You're doing a fab job, so keep that up. Today we're going to be looking at the artist Keith Harring. So not only was he a pop artist, but he was a really famous graffiti artist. So just a quick starter for you. What do you notice about the cartoon figures in Harring's work? If you want to pause this and take a few minutes, feel free to do so. Okay, so the colours that he uses are really bright and bold, and his work also expresses some form of movement and sound. Okay, so quickly just have a look at the learning objectives. Today you're all going to describe Keith Harring's subway graffiti style and technique by producing an artist research study. You will produce an illustration in the style of Keith Harring, and you'll learn about the popular graffiti movement. Okay, Keith Harring was not only an artist, he was also a sculptor. He created pop art using cartoon-like figures and he displayed them in public places all over the world. So here's some more examples of how he uses those really bright, bold colours, thick black lines, and shows movement and sound in his work. So the movement is shown by the curved lines. Okay, and if you have a look on the first image, sound is created by the straight lines. Here's some examples of the sculptures that Keith Harring's made. So some of them are really small and you'd find these in modern art galleries. And then the other ones are really big and you'd find these in public places around the world. Okay, so one of the key themes that he uses when he's producing his sculptures, is he sticks to primary colours. So he sticks to the main three colours, yellow, blue and red, and keeps his work really simple. Okay, so here's an image of Keith Harring. So I'm not going to go into loads of detail because I'm going to show you play you a short video clip in a moment. So Keith Harring was born May 1958, so he grew up in Pennsylvania in America. His father was an illustrator and he was really influenced by the cartoons that his dad was producing at the time, as well as other cartoon characters produced by Walt Disney, such as Mickey Mouse. As soon as he left school, he went straight on to art school, and by the time he was 19, he had his first public art show. Then in 1978, Keith moved to New York, where he became famous really quickly. So he became famous really quickly because whilst he was there, he began drawing on the blank walls of the subway tunnels using chalk. So this was the first form of graffiti that he started producing. Everyone who rode on the subways would see his work in the morning, or morning and evening, so he'd become famous really quickly. So his artwork was then displayed in newspapers and also on the television. So I'm going to show you a short clip now on YouTube. I want you to take some notes of the key points outlined in the clip because you're going to be using these for your first task.
The New York subway, where an average of 5.65 million riders use the system on a daily basis. Not a bad size audience for a starving artist. Yet, most still seem to go unnoticed. Then there's Keith Harring, an American graffiti and pop artist known for turning the subway into his own personal canvas. Born in 1958 in Reading, Pennsylvania, Harring fell in love with drawing at an early age, fascinated by the cartoon art of Walt Disney and the illustrations of Dr. Seuss. After graduating high school in 1976, he briefly attended the Ivy School of Professional Art in Pittsburgh, where he studied commercial art. Soon realizing he wanted to take his career in a different direction, Harring dropped out after only 2 semesters. He would then spend his free time studying and admiring other artists of that time. Discovering a new passion for involving the public and his own art, he decided to move to New York City in 1978 and study painting at the School of Visual Arts. This would become one of the best career moves he would ever make. At the height of the graffiti culture and home to a thriving underground art scene at the time, New York left the door wide open for Harring and his yearning to create. Completely caught up in the energy and spirit of the scene, he began to organize solo art shows and performances at local venues like Club 57, a popular hangout for visual artists and musicians. He started to use the black, empty advertising panels on the subway station walls for his own artwork. Using white chalk, Harring filled the panels with simple images made up of clean lines and cartoonish characters. Some of his signature and iconic drawings included dancing figures, a barking dog, and the radiant baby, crawling infant emitting rays of light. Harring quickly gained popularity in the art world and the attention of New York City commuters, and even the city authorities, who were quick to cover his work with paid advertisements. By the mid-'80s, he was having exhibitions and creating large murals all over the world. One of his most iconic murals was done on the Berlin Wall, where he portrayed linked figures in the colors of the German flag, symbolizing the quest for unity between East and West Germany. Throughout his career, Harring befriended other iconic artists, including Andy Warhol, Kenny Scharf, and Jean-Michel Basquiat, who influenced his artistic perspective in the ever-evolving art scene. In 1985, he collaborated with celebrity singer Grace Jones, putting on 2 live performances at the Paradise Garage, a discotheque known for LGBT nightlife culture and dancing. Each performance featured Harring completely covering Jones's body with his graffiti art. Controversial pop singer Madonna, and a good friend of Harring's, did a television performance of her single Like a Virgin, wearing a matching pink jacket and pencil skirt with Harring's artwork on it. He went on to open a retail store called Pop Shop in New York City's Soho neighborhood in 1986, which sold posters, t-shirts, and other affordable items featuring Harring's signature designs. He was known to be openly gay and promoted safe sex throughout his career, which made his diagnosis of AIDS in 1988 even more of a shock. To help raise awareness and open the conversation on the issue, he founded the Keith Harring Foundation in 1989, which provided funding and imagery to AIDS organizations and children's programs. A short time later, on February 16, 1990, Harring died at the age of 31 due to AIDS-related complications. Although he eventually lost the battle, the awareness he brought to the AIDS movement, as well as his contributions to the art world, are undeniable. Through his foundation, organizations are still receiving support and funding to this day, and his work will forever be credited in helping to bridge the gap between the high-end art world and street art. His work might be completely covered one day, but his impact will forever continue to be seen all over the world.
Okay, so using key information that you've taken from that short clip and from the slides shown previously, feel free to go back to these as well later on if you want to. Your task is to produce an artist research study based upon Keith Harring. So firstly, you need a title and you need a short biography. So your title is always the artist's name, and that should be done in quite bold lettering. Think about how you can produce your lettering in a creative way and make your work really stand out. Okay, so then your biography, you should always include this: who is the artist, where was they from, and what kind of art movement did they belong to. Then secondly, you need to cover a bit about the work and the style. So what style did the artist work in? Is the work realistic? Is it cartoon-like? Is it abstract? And then in Keith's case, what materials did he start off using and where did he display his work? Do you think he worked slowly or do you think he worked really fast? How did he become famous? Then how does he create movement and sound in his work? Also, to produce a really successful artist research study and get the higher marks, you also need to be putting your opinion about the work. What do you think about it? Do you like it? Is there anything that stands out in particular? Then secondly, I want you to create your own Keith Harring style illustration. Now that would be really good if you can incorporate into the artist research study, just to give an example of the kind of work that he produces. When producing your piece of work based on his style of illustration, if you've got access to felt tips or pencil crayons, feel free to add as much colour as possible. Remember, he uses really bright colours and thick, bold lines. Try and add some curved lines to indicate movement, and try and add some straight lines to indicate sound. Okay, so I've put an example up on here of how movement and the curved lines indicate the movement and the straight lines indicate the sound. Also, there's lots of examples on there to give you a bit of inspiration. Okay, I want you to take your time with this and have fun doing so. Once you've finished your work, again, feel free to take pictures of your work and send it into the Instagram account. It's brilliant to celebrate some of the work that you're producing at home. And until next week, take care and have fun with this. Thank you.